At the end of yesterday's episode, we were talking about how we had to glue these pieces here onto the sides of our superstructure before we could actually paint it. And we had concluded that the best way to glue these on was to do this upside down. But there's also some other pieces. If you see up here in step 9, what they want us to do is do this first before we do that. So B2 and B3. Now I was wondering what these pieces were until I noticed that they go in at a bit of an angle. And okay, so that should go in something like this. Maybe if I held this thing at a different angle, it would sort of fall into place. Anyway, they are part of the bracing that held the bridge and everything up. I think there was 4 very heavy duty. I don't know if they were solid or not. If they would have to be extremely strong, but it could have been solid steel, but I don't think so. Anyway, they go something like this. Okay, let's angle this piece right here differently so that these little pieces will just stay in place. So I can do it like this too, I guess. Okay, now I can sort of feel which way it's supposed to go. Give it some pressure there. That should be more than enough. Just kind of work it back and forth while the plastic kind of melts. Okay, I think if I slowly release my thumb, it should stay in the right spot. Looks good to me. Alright, that seemed to work alright for one side. Okay, just put a little pressure on to hold it in place. I think that's the right angle. Now just sort of wiggle it there and what I was noticing is that when I put this down on here, the pressure is coming on these parts that we just glued in place. And until the glue is, solid, I didn't want to have these slowly be bent out of shape. So I'm thinking if I was to take this and just put it in here, like that, it's going to keep the weight off of these things. Now, B20 and B25. There's 25, 25. Okay, it has to go right here. Okay, here's another case of I think it will be best if I was to upend this somehow so that the part will just sort of sit in there all by itself. So I'm going to reposition here. Now I have to use these plastic clips here because if I put the metal ones directly on the plastic, they squeeze so hard and they're so sharp, they're going to scratch my plastic. Okay, so that should be fairly steady. And we want B25 on this one. Okay, once again I'm going to reposition here. Okay, let's just do a dry run here. You notice there's two little slots here. It's supposed to go in this lower one. Well, I guess lower depending on which way you want to look at it. Okay, so how is that going to work now? It's supposed to go like this. It doesn't seem like it wants to fit very good. Glad I did a dry run here. Is there something I'm supposed to have nipped off here? I don't think so. Okay. This does not want to fit very good. Oh, there it goes. I just had it in the wrong place. Okay, actually it fits really good. I think I'm just going to leave it there. And we'll put a little bit of extra thin on it. Now I am sure that you knew I was probably going to put the macro lens on for the other one. Whoops. Whoops again. Oh, I'm going to get my finger in your way here because I gotta sort of press it in. There. Does that look good? That's that piece there, and we need two of them, one for each side. And this is this, and we need one for each side. But I believe I forgot to nip off B44 and B43, which goes right here on each side. Well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on the pieces that we've got, and then we'll get the other pieces later. Okay. So, oh, now I know what I was going to do. One of the viewers reminded me that I should be using something like a wax pencil, or in my case it's a piece of blue tack on the end of a toothpick to, grab hold of these little pieces and then just put them in place. Now, if you remember, we did that on the Bismarck several times, but I kind of forgot about it. Now, even though these pieces, it doesn't matter which side they go on, I do believe they will go better one way than the other. I think this might be the right way. I've got a 50-50 chance of getting it right. Now let's try it the other way. Just going to reposition it a little bit here on my blue tack. Hope I'm not getting my fingers in your way. Does it go better like that? Yes, it does. It goes better like that. Now, how do I get it to release? Come on. Sorry about the vibration, but I'm holding my hand at an awkward angle here. Okay, like that. Now just a little bit of, let it wick its way down. There it goes. That should be all right. I'll wait a minute and then I'll put a little bit of pressure on. Okay, we'll turn this thing around and we'll do the other one. Maybe just a little bit crooked there. No, maybe not. That's probably too much, but I think that'll evaporate. I'm not going to wiggle it around a whole lot because it'll sort of deform. It's going to liquefy, and then when it solidifies, it's going to be really strong. All right, we're flipped over, and we're going to try and do the other side the same way. And here we are for the ones that I missed. B43 and B44. should be good.
That should be good. That's terrible. I didn't see it running down like that. I hope that extra thin evaporates before it has a chance to deform that railing. We'll check it out later and see what happened.
Okay, let's leave well enough alone here.
Now, Ron, that is a long ways from being well enough. I can envision it dissolving the plastic already.
Several hours has passed here now, and you can see, or if you follow along the head of the pin here, where the discoloration is, sort of residue, although it's not really residue. I think it's a case of the extra thin has changed the shape of the plastic so that you get a sort of reflection there. I don't think there's any residue on there. Anyway, what I was concerned about is that it may have deformed the railing. Now you got to remember this entire piece here is upside down, and I was concerned that it might have slowly turned the railing here into some sort of sprue goo and, like I say, deformed it. But it didn't. We're going to get away with it. And I think that when this is sprayed over, we're not even going to see that. In the last episode, I was talking about wooden decking. And could a person do a dry run on your deck with the plastic still stuck over top of the sticky side of the wooden decking? And we got an email from our friend John here in Winnipeg, and he said, no, you can't. Because when you break out the holes for all these various pieces, the plastic is still there, and you can't really shove it down over top of all these various parts. And my thinking was, well, that doesn't make sense, because I just saw Scott in one of his Aussie Trekkie episodes, one of the later ones.
So unlike anything, I will place it over where it goes, make sure everything's going to line up.
By the way, Scott is back. Aussie Trekkie is back. I'm probably one of the last to know it, but in case there's somebody out there that doesn't know it, Aussie Trekkie is back up, and it looks like all his videos are there, and he's continuing on. And that's where I saw him do the update on his HMS Hood. And he actually did do a dry run with his decking. I don't know why I didn't see that the first time I saw it. Maybe my eyes glazed over and I dozed off. And Scott, don't be offended, because I fall asleep when I'm proofing my own final edits. Anyway, I missed it the first time, but Scott did do a dry run. I'm thinking, well, how is that possible? Because it seemed to work out so good, and then I remembered he had taken and he had nipped off all of these pieces that are sticking up, and he had it all finished over. And he's going to be putting the photo etch pieces on, so that's why it worked for him. At least on the bow section. We're looking at the boat deck here, which covers the shelter deck. Anyway, So in other words, no, you can't really do a dry run, at least with the type of wooden decking that has that is pre-glued, that you have to pull the plastic sheet off of. I do understand that there are other types that you can get, and maybe it would work on that. But anyway, according to John, with the Pontos kit that he had, you could not do a proper dry run on something like this, because the little parts will not come up through the wooden decking. Even though you may have broken out the various places on the deck itself, the plastic is still there underneath. Yeah, just thought I'd waste a whole bunch of time here telling you about that. In yesterday's episode, I had said, I don't know how long these are, or something to that effect. Well, photo etch bender Andy reminded me that I could measure this thing, multiply it out by 200, and we'd know. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, just for the fun of it. And yeah, we'll just see how long were these in reality. I'm going to do it in inches, not millimeters. 2.09 inches times 200 divided by 12. Okay, those things would have been about 35 feet long. Yeah, that's pretty long. Once again, keep in mind this is upside down, but we have all the pieces now, as far as I can tell, glued on the sides of the superstructure that are going to be painted the same color as the side of the superstructure. There's the 4 on this side, and the 4 on the other side. Okay, just for the fun of it, actually not for the fun of it, but because we have to, let's see if we can put one of these paravanes together. Just noticing now on this one here, you probably can't see it, a little bit of what I believe is flashing there. Now I know there is sort of some kind of a stabilizing fin around the front of this, but there's a little spot right there. Maybe I should try and sand that off. Now, I sometimes think that I'm most likely better off if I don't see something like that, because if I don't see it, I don't know it's there. But I'm just going to see what we can just do here. Just a little bit. Okay, there it's gone. Do I have the... Oh, I got the coarse I want to find. Thought I lost it for a minute. Okay. I'll just sort of... I don't want to sand that ring off. Okay. It's gone. Okay, now let's see if we can get this part stuck in those holes there. Okay, now you can see on our winged part here where our photo etch piece is supposed to go in here and here. Now this part of the wing that I'm touching right now would be what you would call the leading edge. That has to go to the front. And these things that almost look like little jet engines or something, I don't know what they'd be all about, but it doesn't matter. They go pointing out the back. So we gotta take this thing and turn it over and get it turned around. Okay, and get it all ready here so I can pick it up. And then it's gonna have to go on here. I like to do a dry run. You know, I should really be holding this down with my finger. Okay, I'm just doing a dry run now. I want to make sure it's going to fit. Oh, and this circle, that's not supposed to be on there. Well, maybe we can sand that off later. Okay, so now let's try not to smother it this time. That should be enough. Yeah, it looks square. I want to make sure that the front wing is level with the back wing. On an airplane, this would be what would be called the stabilizer, the horizontal stab. I used to build flying models. I really enjoyed that. And then, I know I've mentioned this before, and I'm not bragging, but I do actually have my pilot's license for real. Mind you, it's not valid anymore because I can't pass the medical, but I did get it. Yeah. Okay, I think we're good to go here. I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. Now, I am just noticing here the same little, what you might say, flaw right there on this one as well. You don't suppose that's supposed to be there, and I sanded it off and I shouldn't have. I don't think so. I think it's, if you notice the flashing right along the edge there, it's, I do believe that's sort of a flaw.
What do you mean you don't notice the flashing right along the edge there? I'm holding this thing only maybe 4 inches away from the front of the lens. Okay, every once in a while I'll take a shot like this so that you see it in its more or less normal size. And I am holding it about 4 inches away from the front of the lens. It's tiny. I do this because I'm doing all these macro shots, and that way I don't need to worry about getting a comment that says, why don't you hold it down with 1 foot and then you'll be able to use both hands? Yeah, because, well, you know what I'm getting at here. Anyway, let's get on with it.
Okay, now, you remember I was saying we got these circles on here that shouldn't be there? I'm not going to remove those because this part of the wing is actually mounted vertically on the side of the superstructure. And these pegs that you see here, they actually go into holes that are on the side of the superstructure. So we know where to put the paravanes. Okay, however, we got to get these things glued into these little tiny slots here. Don't worry, I'll put the macro lens back on once we get to that spot. We already did this once. I was noticing this one here, I've got it a little bit crooked. This part that I'm holding on to, it should be bent just slightly more this way. Well, we'll do that. But you know what? This is going to have to be in tomorrow's episode, folks. I'm probably going to use CA glue, not the extra thin, because if you remember way back when we were doing the Bismarck, we concluded that the extra thin does not work real well with photo etch. In fact, it doesn't glue photo etch to photo etch at all, and it only does a mediocre job of gluing photo etch to plastic. Anyway, they got to go something like this. So that's going to be in tomorrow's episode. Thanks for watching, and all being well, we will see you tomorrow.